You're watching Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBear's Casino and Hotel in Baton Rouge and the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Museum in Natchitoches. You can follow Sports Shorts Daily by going to our YouTube page, Sports Shorts, hosted by Ronnie Rance, and get our 15-minute weekday video.
Welcome, everybody, to Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBear's Casino. Hope everybody had as good a weekend as you could. If you're an LSU fan, you didn't have a good one, obviously. If you're a Saints fan, you feel a little better about yourself. He's Tommy Krysan. He's over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. While we have a minute before we get started, talking a little Sports Shorts here this morning, presented by LeBear's Casino. Here's a word from one of our sponsors, Jerry Lane Enterprises, a fantastic sponsor of everything around Baton Rouge, but the 13th Gate Haunted House, a premier haunted house. They'll be open until November when, Tommy?
13th.
November 13th.
Go to 13thgate.com.
Yeah, go to 13thgate.com. Limited nights, of course, after Halloween weekend, but a fantastic. If you didn't get a chance to go before Halloween, you still have till November 13th. Here's a little message from the folks over at 13th Gate.
Don't be scared. Find the vehicle that you've been looking for at Jerry Lane Chevrolet, proud sponsor of the 13th Gate Haunted House.
Yeah, huge crowds over the weekend. Ronnie Rance alongside Tommy Krysan here with you. And what a weekend it was. You know, Tommy, where were you? I can't remember because it's been a whirlwind the last few days. Where were you on the pick'em with LSU being a 2 to 3 point favorite going into the game on Saturday? What did you have?
I'd taken LSU. I thought the game would be close for the first half and that LSU would separate out in the second half. I kept in mind that Auburn played LSU better than anybody else did last year. Same defensive coordinator, Kevin Steele. So I was incorrect. I went with LSU, and not only was I incorrect, I was way incorrect. I mean, it was just total domination. It wasn't even close.
I mean, anybody who says they predicted Auburn blowing out LSU the way they did is lying. I mean, nobody saw that coming. Obviously, there's people that, could have made the argument for Auburn to win. A lot of people did. It was only a 2-3 point line. This reminded me so much of another freshman making his first start, which was a little bit of a concern going on the road for TJ Finley. But back in 2014, Brandon Harris was atrocious. You actually got pulled for Anthony Jennings in that game. They got voted like this. They were 0 for 13 on third downs in that game. It was atrocious as well. Unfortunately, history repeated itself, and it's amazing how in 1 week, from 1 week to the other, things can change so drastically for TJ Finley in this LSU offense. He went from being a 3-year starter, first-round pick, to now people are like, who's next? Where's Max Johnson? Who do we sign for next year? When's Miles Brennan coming back? Like we are a creature of the moment. The guy's a true freshman, and but his numbers: 13 of 24 passing, better than 50%, hit 143 yards, but 2 interceptions. One of them obviously kind of wasn't his fault; it was a tip ball. The other was. Max Johnson got in the game all of this in the second half. I don't want to call it garbage time, but to a certain degree. 15 of 24 throwing the football, 172 yards, 1 touchdown. More importantly, no interceptions for Max Johnson. Miles Brennan, please get healthy.
Yeah, no question about that. You know, Coach Orgeron talked all week about we got to run the football and we're going to fix the problems on defense. 0 for 2 right there. Okay, yeah. They couldn't run the football. He said it after the game. He said, we couldn't block those guys. And then, of course, the defense is still a major issue. Guys running around. I think the story, when they had the little short run for a touchdown with Auburn and the defensive lineman for LSU put his hands out because he knew somebody was supposed to fill that gap and they didn't. I think that sums it all up. They still don't know where to go, when to be where. And then also, Ronnie, during the broadcast, Gary Danielson, whether you like him or not, he made a comment. He said, LSU doesn't know, I don't know if they're playing man-to-man or they're playing zone. And he said, and the problem is they don't know. if they're
Right.
playing man-to-man and playing zone. And, okay, again, a lot of people don't like Gary Danielson, but the guy knows football. He prepares for these games, and he's pretty good if you just take away the stuff and listen to the nuts and bolts. He hit the nail on the head. He said the LSU defense doesn't even know what they're playing. And Coach O has talked for weeks about fixing it, fixing it, fixing it. You got to go by what he does, not by what he says. And they haven't fixed much of anything. I mean, I think LSU's better than Auburn. You might call me crazy because Auburn blew them out. But, there's something happening in LSU when they get across the lines and get out on the field. They're not playing defense, and obviously they couldn't run the ball. And they couldn't protect T.J. Finley. That may have been part of the reason for his lack of success because it all goes together. It just was, you're going to get your tail whipped some days. And LSU got their tail whipped the other day.
You still have Derek Stingley. You still have Jacoby Stevens. You still have Todd Harris in the secondary. These are guys that, Stingley's, we've been singing his praise, right? He's supposed to be a top 5 pick next year in the draft. Jacoby Stevens wears number 7, which is supposed to go to the dude who's a dude. Todd Harris, a big part of the team the last couple of years and a returning starter. So they've got 3 defensive backs that should know what the hell they're doing, and yet they look just as lost as the new guys. And Stingley looked uninterested against Auburn. He looked like he was protecting himself at times. Looked like he was hiding behind players at times. Didn't want the contact. Like he's counting down to the May 2022 draft. Jacoby Stevens doesn't look like a number 7. He should change that jersey like the one last year did. It's bad right now. And you gotta, and look, it's a culture we want to hang it on one person. Bo Pelini's a fun dude. I want to have a beer with Bo Pelini. Anybody who played for him in 07, the Stelzes of the world, the Beckwiths, the Hesters that were there, and they love him. It looks like the game has passed him by. He can't get these guys to play hard, number 1, and number 2, they're all over the place.
Well, there was another alarming thing I saw with that defense. Who's number 4 for LSU on defense? Do you know that off the top of your head?
Hang on, Tommy. Our power's going. Keep ahead. Make your point.
All right, well, anyway, there's a play where LSU, number 4 in the secondary, it was a run up the middle of the field, 10, 12, 14-yard gain, and he came up and he wanted no part of making the tackle. He did not want to hit the guy. He veered off on the side and hoped that his teammates got him. You can't have people in the secondary who don't want to make a tackle. I know college football is different these days, okay? They don't tackle people. They bump into them. They try to knock them off their feet. They try to push them down. As Herschel Walker said last week, they don't wrap up people and tackle them. I mean, Walker said he'd run for 350 yards a game, and he might have. I don't know. But anyway, so it was just an alarming fact that the LSU defense basically looks like they still have no clue, even though they played 5 football games. I mean, they haven't had the improvement. They haven't fixed things, as Coach O has said. And, now you got 2 weeks. A little bit odd that Coach O's got a press conference today on the week of an open date. He normally wouldn't do that on an open date. I don't know what it means. I'll be tuned in at 12:30 today. I'll be checking it out when Coach O does his presser. A little bit odd. We'll see if anything comes out of that thing at 12:30 today. But, Ronnie, the defense has not been fixed. You got 2 weeks to go against perhaps the greatest offense in college football this year, Alabama. Don't even need to talk about Alabama right now. LSU's got to fix some things in their own locker room.
Tommy, if you'd have just seen, if there had been a video of what I just did off camera right now, it would have been, you can tell I'm breathing a little bit heavy. By the way, who's the number you asked me about? I can't remember. I
Number 4 for LSU.
Oh, that's Harris. Yeah, that's Harris.
There's a play. You were fixing something.
Yeah.
He comes up. He didn't even want to hit the guy. He didn't want to make the tackle. He veered off. It was in the middle of the field, about a 12, 14-yard gain. He didn't want to hit nobody. I would have took him out of the game and sent him to the locker room if I was the coach.
They're guys that are protecting themselves. Unfortunately, now they're getting to the point where the numbers are real low. But
if they're protecting themselves, that's going to get worse because there's no way they're winning the West now. They will go to a bowl game, but they won't go play in that. These guys that are protecting themselves,
Shreveport,
step out just like everybody, huh?
Shreveport.
but they won't go. I mean, they won't go no matter where it is. So. Ed Orgeron said he's got to fix things. That could never be more true.
the power was about to go out on the computer. I didn't have it charged. Just had to run downstairs, get it, come back up. I look like a 4x100 relay guy running through my office.
You're multitasking. I like it.
You like it. All right, so Miles Brennan, from what I heard last night, Miles Brennan's kind of expected to be back for the Alabama game. Obviously, they've got an off week this week, and then they've got Alabama at home. But beyond Miles Brennan, who probably was like, okay, now they appreciate me, right? You see how hard it is to play this position and all that. Did you see anything out of TJ Finley that made you pause or, change your tone and say, ooh, he may not be a guy?
It's kind of cloudy. I mean, I saw him step into some throws. And he fired some darts out there. Some of them were on the money. Some of them weren't. And then I think what got him was the fact that they couldn't block real well. And he maybe started looking at the rush a little bit. I think for TJ Finley say he better be glad there wasn't 90,000 people in that stadium. It may have been harder on him. And I don't think they followed the capacity limits based on some of the camera shots, but that's for Auburn to worry about, or the SEC office. But I think Finley, I think you got to give him an incomplete on that game, pardon the pun, because the line didn't work and Auburn got after him. And again, Kevin Steele's a brilliant defensive coordinator. Once worked at LSU. And, he had a plan to make LSU throw the ball. He committed to stopping the run, which they did successfully. And then Finley couldn't get it going because he didn't have enough time. And then when they knew he was going to throw, they started blitzing everywhere. And, Auburn's got some really good football players. They do each and every year. People don't understand that, but they're very, very good, and they were clearly the better team last Saturday.
I thought Finley's mistakes were simply the inexperience, right? Obviously, the fumble, he tried to extend the play instead of knowing, the old Kenny Rogers knowing to hold him when to fold him. You take the sack, live to play another play. The first interception, hey, do you eyeball a receiver? Does the D-line get a read on your eyes and time the jump? Yeah, that's stuff you can learn to do better. But the deflection ball, that is what it is. But the fumble was his fault, and obviously the second interception was his fault. But when you have to be perfect because your defense is trash and your offensive line can't run the football, it makes it tough. I think now we'll appreciate Miles Brennan a little bit more of what he's done and what he probably will do. Keep in mind, Miles Brennan technically has 3 years left to play. This year doesn't count, and he'll have 2 more years after this. So it's going to be – and Miles Brennan's shown that he's going to stick around, right? And obviously from here on out, if he's healthy the rest of the year, he's the starting quarterback, no questions asked. So he's going to get a full year worth of reps, knock on wood that he's healthy. He's going to be hard to beat next year for the starting quarterback, no matter who comes in or who's here. So look for Miles Brennan really to be the guy the next couple of years, regardless of everybody else. Now, he'll get pushed. You'll have a good second and third option. I'm sure some of these guys will transfer and others will come in. But I think the future looks good because you're going to have Miles Brennan plus 1 or 2 other young studs that are pushing. That's what all Alabama's had. That's what Georgia's had. That's what other programs have had the last couple of years when we just, we're fortunate to get Burrow, but nothing else.
I agree with you, Ronnie. The key right now is get Brennan healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's healthy and he can go against Bama, that's going to be the quarterback, and he'll be in the game unless he were to, aggravate that injury or get some other injury. So that's what you got to do right here. But Finley and Johnson have to accept the role. They got to be ready to go. They got to still prepare hard. And, there's already a lot of talk about the transfer portal and all this. Hey, let that wait. Let that wait till this season is over with. Let all the dust settle, and then people got to make decisions. They'll make decisions.
Bo Pelini, a lot of people calling for his head. There's LSU's off this week. Coach O having a press conference as we do this live on Sports Church Daily presented by LeBear's Casino. Coach O is, the press conference coming up in a couple of hours. A little bit of a surprise that he's having a press conference, TK, because, normally you don't have a press conference in an off week. People are reading into that. I think this is more just a calm down people press conference, right? Hey, let me calm down the masses and not wait a whole week before you hear from me. Obviously, what can you do in the middle of the season, especially a first-year coordinator? And, oh, by the way, you're in a pandemic and don't have any money to buy him out.
Well, typically, if you didn't have the pandemic and you had to make a change, you do it on an open date week. And you say, okay, well, do we have somebody who can become the defensive coordinator? Is that Bill Bush? Is that Corey Raymond? You don't know. I agree with you, Ronnie. We chatted earlier. I think Coach O's just going to come out and say, look, we are who we are. We have our players. We have our coaches. We're going to go through the rest of the schedule. We're going to try to fix things and get things better. And at the end of the season, we'll evaluate every player and every coach. And then if we got to make some decisions, we will. That's what I expect to hear today about 12:30 Baton Rouge time when he meets with the media or through the Zoom thing. And I'll be part of that. I'm going to hear what he has to say because I got a podcast I'm dropping later today where I'll comment on it. So that's what I'm expecting. I would be stunned if he calls the presser to say that, he's made a staff change.
Tommy, let's talk a little bit more on Saints before we do so. Tell the folks about Tremonti's Meat and Seafood and where you're at.
Well, we've rolled into the month of November. I'm at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood on Jefferson Highway in Baton Rouge. And, of course, November means Thanksgiving. And they got some great deals here at Tremonti's for your Thanksgiving treats. Fried turkeys, rotisserie turkeys, smoked turkeys. They got all the side dishes, spinach madeleine, carrot souffle. They got everything you need. And it's real simple. You can see it on your screen. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge. You can order online at tremontis.com. Click the seasonal tab. It'll take you right to the holiday menu. The prices are on there. There's a place where you can order online. It tells you when to pick it up, how to get it. I mean, it's very descriptive. Just go to tremontis.com, click seasonal, and you'll see the holiday menu. And I've been getting fried turkeys from Mike for many, many years at Thanksgiving time, and I encourage everybody to do that this year. They've got outstanding stuff, and tremontis.com got it going on to help you plan your Thanksgiving. You place your order now. They've had people already place their order. You can place your order now. You pick up the turkey on Thanksgiving morning. There's a window of time you come get it. It's in a little styrofoam container wrapped in foil. Warm, heating up instructions are in there, and you're ready to enjoy Thanksgiving. And many, many people do it at tremontis.com.
TJ Finley, Tommy, on social media tweeted out just a little while ago, reset, readjust, realize, reload. So, nowadays, players go to social media to let you know how they're feeling and this, that, and the other. And I hope TJ Finley a break, man. I mean, the guy's a true freshman. I think when you're a true freshman playing quarterback at a big-time college program like LSU, that's probably that's the hardest thing. I think that's the hardest thing to do in sports, in college sports. And I'm thinking back to what is it like to play shortstop at LSU or be a pitcher in the SEC as a freshman or to be a point guard for your basketball team. Playing quarterback, making that adjustment from high school to college to be an SEC starting quarterback is probably the hardest ask because the list is so small of the ones that have been truly successful.
I agree. I mean, last year he was playing against Hammond High and Covington High. Now he's playing South Carolina and playing Auburn, at Auburn. And, I think you have to understand that freshmen are going to be freshmen. Legendary basketball coach Bob Knight once said the best thing ever happens to a freshman is they become a sophomore. Okay, so sometimes you just got to live with that. Like when he fumbled that ball, that goes back to the old adage in coaching: don't make a bad play worse. Take the sack. Don't try to extend it and then you fumble. Live with the fact that it was a sack. He'll learn, and I'm sure the coaches have already told him that, and he probably knows it. But the competitor in him, he tried to make something good happen. But I think that the report card on him is incomplete. We saw what he did against South Carolina, the troubles against Auburn. We need to see more before you really know what TJ Finley's all about.
Saints win yesterday in overtime. Somehow 5 wins. They're now 5-2. Drew Brees gets it done with a bunch of Arena League receivers other than Kamara and Cook. The other guys, come on. They're lucky to be on the roster. And somehow Drew goes on the road in Chicago and gets it done. And it's amazing. And now sets up what will be a, big-time game next Sunday night between Saints and Tampa Bay, Brady and Brees, on NBC in Tampa. But what was your reaction? It's amazing to me, Tommy. They don't have any receivers. The other team knows it, but somehow they still can't stop Kamara. I was not sold on Alvin Kamara being the bell cow I thought that Kamara-Ingram thing, I thought Ingram really helped Kamara. Having that second back to take a lot of the workload really helped Kamara. So when they made the decision to give him all that money and basically give him just short of, McCaffrey money over in Carolina and be like the second, third highest paid running back in the league, I was not sure if that was smart as the GM, moving forward. I am now. I'm sold. You got to have Alvin Kamara. He is super important, and whoever the next quarterback is going to be, he's going to get the ball even more probably.
Yeah, the Saints got to win. That's the most important thing. And the announcers talked about this. Brees just will not throw the ball down the field. He's got the shortest air time, yardage distance of all NFL quarterbacks. And
I believe it.
Several times yesterday, it was 3rd and 10, and he's throwing the ball 2 yards down the field. Finley did that a couple of times, but he's a freshman, okay? Brees should know better, okay? And then that other time was like 3rd and 12, and they tried to flip it out in the flat to Kamara. I mean, that's not that old Drew Brees who would have been picking up 14 yards when it was 3rd and 12, or at least trying to pick up 14 yards. And, he just can't throw the ball down the field. Sean Payton knows that, so he calls the game to fit Brees. But the good thing is, the silver lining is they won the game on the road, and it was cold, and they missed the field goal, and he still ended up flying home with a W. And that's what you got to look at in the big picture. But I think, this fact that he will not throw the ball down the field, sooner or later that's going to bite him in the tail.
It probably will, Tommy, but look, somehow he just keeps winning. Now, obviously, they're going to be an underdog next week in Tampa against Brady, and assuming they lose, they're going to be 5-3. But 5-3 through 8 games when you don't have any Michael Thomas, nobody would have thought that. And he's going to be coming back at some point. Emmanuel Sanders is going to be coming back at some point. You're going to get stronger offensively. And then hopefully if you can duplicate it and go 5-3, maybe 11-5, 10-6, you're in the playoffs. 11-5, you might win the division. You probably not be a little better than that to win the division.
Which another thing about Kamara, Ronnie, he doesn't have a lot of mileage on him. People don't notice, but he went to Alabama. He was at Bama for a year. He was like 8th on the depth chart. He switched to Tennessee. Butch Jones barely used him at Tennessee.
Right.
So he doesn't have a lot of mileage on him that you would think some running backs of his capability do. And I think maybe that's helping him. But he is the key to that offense now. He's the guy who, when the Saints break the huddle, everybody on defense wants to know where number 41 is lining up. And that's important. That's an impactful thing. And, of course, Brees has got the brain of the Hall of Fame. And I don't know the arms of Hall of Fame anymore. Yeah. But the bottom line is, I don't care how you do it, win the game. Very tough to win an NFL football game because the other guys are getting paid to win too.
By the way, Taysom Hill had his first good game of the year from a standpoint of really being impactful at different positions and things. They finally got some usage out of that contract. The thing about Drew Brees, not to bang on him, obviously he can't throw the ball downfield. He's older and the arm's gone. But even the short throws, don't sleep on the fact that Drew Brees, most of the time, he had some bad throws yesterday, and we're seeing more bad throws than we've ever seen before from Drew from an accuracy standpoint. But still, most of the time, he's very accurate. And when you throw those 7-yard routes and you put the ball, right here versus where a guy's got to do it, it makes a huge difference. This is a catch, but now I'm turning upfield and I'm getting more yards after the catch. And he still does that very well, or he still throws the screen ball exceptionally well, where the receiver catches it in stride and is able to do something with it as opposed to make a great catch and just come down with it for a minimal reception. So Drew Brees is still very good at that, and that's a lot of quarterbacks. You can't say that about him.
But he is throwing some poor passes that you used to see.
More than ever before.
The touchdown to the tight end, they ran the same play and they just mirrored it on the other side. The ball was way behind the guy. And then the next time that he got it out in front of him, it was a touchdown. So, I'm seeing that the accuracy rate of Drew Brees, like you pointed out, up here and down here, it's not quite what it once was. And I'm going to say it again. They won the football game. Get ready for Tampa Bay next Sunday night. They're doing well. Saints are doing well. And the Saints defense has been pretty darn good.
By the way, really cool before the game, I think it was ESPN yesterday morning, they did a feature on Peanut Tillman about the peanut punch. I don't know if you saw this, but they obviously the Saints are playing in Chicago. Peanut Tillman played his career in Chicago. He's a former Raging Cajun, great for UL Lafayette. But Peanut Tillman made famous, the old punch to knock the ball out, for fumbles, and he did that very, very well. And then, of course, people have emulated it. But he used to, tackle with one arm and really be swinging and a true punch, not just a slap, but a fist and a punch on the ball. And they showed how, since he's done that, how the growth of it. And he still lives up that way, and he's got 3 kids. And they show, anyway, Peanut Tillman's going to be getting inducted this December into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame up in Natchitoches. So it's really kind of cool that they got some national pub, and they talked about how he's the father of the punch out that everybody's doing now. All the defensive backs, linebackers, everybody's trying to strip the ball and punch it out as opposed to really tackling. And he was the guy that created that, and we will be honoring him in December with a lot of great events. Go to lasportshall.com. Tommy, real quick, want to get your reaction. Trevor Lawrence this week out for Clemson. If Clemson's a 7-point favorite against Notre Dame in Notre Dame without Trevor Lawrence, that's how much they think of this program and team. If he's out with COVID, Sweeney said that he can't go through all the protocols in time to get him back. He expects him back the following game. If Clemson loses at Notre Dame and there's no Trevor Lawrence, is it a mulligan? If they come back, run the table with Trevor Lawrence, they still make the playoffs?
I think they'll still make the playoff if that's the case. And I was surprised. I know he's following the ACC protocols, but Nick Saban got cured in 3 days. Donald Trump got cured in 3 days. Why couldn't Trevor Lawrence? But I guess they got to follow the rules in their conference.
It's different, yeah.
But yeah, so no, I think that mulligan. To use your word, you got to throw that in there. I don't think they'll lose to Notre Dame, but if they do, you got to know that they didn't have the guy who might have won the Heisman, and now he might not win the Heisman because this will be 2 games he missed. Does somebody else pass him up? But I think to answer your question, it would be a mulligan. And I think you still got to end up with Clemson in the playoffs, unless they stumble again, going forward.
He's Tommy Krysan. He's over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge. Go by, check him out. Tremonti's fantastic place over by Parkview Baptist on Jefferson Highway. And by the way, before we sign off, congratulations, Joe Burrow with a big win, led his team to a victory over a 5-win Tennessee Titans team, his 2nd win in the NFL this year. And also Tua made his starting debut for the Miami Dolphins, and all he did was win a game and knock off the Los Angeles Rams, who've been playing pretty well up until this point. So Tua gets a big win as the Dolphins might be look right now to be a surprise playoff team. So two greats from a year ago, proving that they're great in the NFL as well. He's Tommy Krysan and Ronnie Rance. We'll be back with TK on Thursday for more Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBairs Hotel and Casino. TK will be live at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Have a great day, TK.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Thanks for watching Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBairs Casino and Hotel in Baton Rouge and the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Museum in Natchitoches. Don't forget to follow Sports Shorts on Facebook, Twitter at sports_shorts, and check us out on Saturday mornings from 10 to noon at Sports Shorts Radio on 104.5, 104.9 ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge.